You're good. All right, and I've got the recording going. All right, so yeah, thanks for coming, everybody. I'm really excited to announce what we've got going today. Obviously, it involves my friend Joe over here, and I'll introduce you guys to him and tell you about who he is. But before we get into that, I want to just do a quick little recap on a couple of really cool things that we've seen in maybe what we could call the hybrid SaaS space. I don't know if we're coining a new phrase or anything like that, but HighLevel in the last 12 months, 24 months has really been pushing hard on the SaaS model, and rightly so. They've got awesome tools. They're building something that makes it so cool for agencies like the ones that we all run to offer more solutions, be more competitive in our pricing, and it's pretty awesome. And what they've built has kind of spawned the direction that UpHex builds its tools. Okay, and UpHex whole thing, our whole goal is to make the ad creation and launching process a streamlined process to cut down on the need to have a middleman, right? Your positioning as an agency is actually kind of your biggest downsell thing. It's the thing that makes it hardest for you to sell. But if you can position yourself as, hey, we're not an agency, we're a piece of software that allows you to run your ads for yourself using and what I say is we have a proven library of ads, right? And people love that, right? You just click them and they go. So that's a really cool feature. And in the last couple of weeks, we've seen Adam Lucky, who's been he posted in the HighLevel group about how he gets clients and how many clients he got just by saying, hey, we offer DIY ads. Right? I think he got a recurring revenue of $10,000 a month, like a month and a half, offering that one feature. That's not the only thing he does in his business, but it's like this really cool lead offer that he didn't have access to before. So that's awesome. We also had Forrest, and I think it's Adsit is how you say his last name. Forrest, I did a demo call with on the phone a weekend and a half ago. He's not even out of his trial yet. And the dude has, as of yesterday, 15 paying customers with that one offer, right? So it's really cool. But if you know anything about running an agency, it's like, well, we don't need necessarily one tier of value. And Joe and I were talking yesterday about this exact situation is as soon as somebody buys something from you, they start buying leads from you, they have a problem, right? Well, now you got leads. Leads don't do nothing if you're not nurturing them, if you're not calling them, if you're not doing that whole process it takes to actually convert a lead into a sale. Okay. So that is where we come to today. Now, there is one term that Adam used in his presentation that I loved. I thought it was like, oh, that's very visual representation of what we're trying to do at UpHex. Adam said, I was able to bolt on DIY marketing to my customers, meaning here it is, whoop, bolted on and they have it. Okay. And I'm going to use that same phrase today to bolt on another level of service. Okay. Another tier of value that you guys can bolt on to your agencies and not just charge. I mean, I charge $497. That doesn't mean that's what you have to charge. Okay, people are offering DIY at different prices, but as soon as they buy that DIY and they're getting leads, they inherit another problem, which is what this big announcement is today. And this is actually why my friend Joe Rare is here today. So I'll tell you what that is here in just a minute. But if you don't know Joe, I want to do a quick intro, and then Joe, I'll have you, maybe take a couple minutes and talk about your company and what you guys. Okay.
Cool.
Joe is an UpHex user. First and foremost, Joe, what's up? UpHex user, my man. Right? We met quite some time ago. Like-minded entrepreneur. I mean, the guy is a really smart business person. If anything else, if I could say anything else, he is incredibly business savvy, marketing savvy, sales savvy. Okay, so all of those points of reference are incredibly important for this conversation because you're not talking to just some person off the streets. you're talking to a person who has a company that's going to really dovetail nicely with what you're doing. Okay. So he knows what he's doing. He's an expert in the group. He's an expert in other groups as well. And I'll let him kind of talk about that a little bit. But Joe, what is it that you do? What's the name of your company? Well, I know the name of your company. Talk to us about that, and then we'll jump into the discussion today.
Let's see. So what do I do? I live life as a dad. We travel, we play around. Like my kind of claim to fame is that, you know, I own 4 different companies. We do over 8 figures a year, and I don't work.
Yes.
And so that's been the difference maker kind of in I guess my entrepreneurial journey has always been the, you know, it kind of started with the 4-hour work week, right? It was the idea that you could build a business that could operate without you. And I've always held on to that. And it took a decade to figure it out. But now, you know, my largest company is Level 9 Virtual. We are a virtual assistant company. We provide a lot of different services, which is how we're kind of dovetailing in. When it comes to HighLevel, I was one of the original users of HighLevel. We were the first VA company to start training on the platform. We used to be their customer service before they had customer service. They didn't have anybody to, you know, problem solve. We used to do it for them. Then once they developed kind of a client success team, they used to send us their cancellations. Everybody who was going to cancel, they would send them to us and see if we could save them by basically taking HighLevel out of their hands and having VAs run it. And so we developed a really good relationship there. Then, you know, they obviously continued to grow. We kind of just kept moving into different areas of their business. And then, you know, when Eliza came along and the ability to do human rollover, which, you know, we'll get into, you know, we were one of the first partners to join on that. And so we officially became actual, you know, kind of partners with HighLevel. On top of that, I've owned an agency for a really long time, in the wedding niche, which is kind of a weird, shitty niche. Don't do it. It's yeah, wedding industry is very weird. But anyway, so, you know, between that and then, you know, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm an investor. I'm just looking for ways to create more financial resources, to create more freedom. So for me, at the end of the day, my core focus is creating businesses around my ideal lifestyle. How do I want to operate on a daily basis? Right? What do I want to be doing? Right? Sam's been trying to chase me down for weeks. I know Bradley, I still fucking owe you.
All you do is like snowmobile and
well, yeah. So like in the winter, I mean, I can literally, like, if we go right out my front door, like the mountain is right there. I can ride my snowmobile out my driveway and go ride. I'm out on side-by-sides, backcountry trails. We go look for wildlife, you know, every day or so, but like, that's what I wanted. So time has been my motivating factor, and I build everything around that. Yeah. If I'm going to go do something and it's going to require all of my time, I won't even do it.
Right.
And so that's why it's a pain in the ass to get me on calls. It's a pain in the ass to get me to commit to something, because if it doesn't free my time, then I usually don't want to commit to it. Yeah. And so that actually dovetails into how, you know, we've come up with the services that we have and why they're so effective for clients. You know, in the HighLevel community, we've served at almost 1,000 of the agencies in the community, you know, at various levels, different services and so forth. Currently right now, we're operating with just over 1,000 active paying clients. We have over 1,000 VAs that work for our company. So yeah, we're not exactly small time anymore.
So you're just a little company.
Yeah, it's just a little company with, but the cool part is that I don't operate it.
Yeah.
So I've been able to position myself as a strategic advisor and an investor, which is where I want to be. And so kind of like, you know, we were on the phone the other day, there's some projects I'm going to take on. And so I'm going to come in, I'm going to step in, I'm going to be the strategic advisor in those, right? Then we'll delegate out and everybody will run their show. So that's the, I don't know, the long and short.
I like the transition, you know, the strategy, right? The strategy. I mean, and UpHex and what we're going to talk about here today, our whole strategy is to give you guys a new offer. I mean, I've been in the agency space for 7 years, and it used to be easy to get clients, and everybody started doing it. Then it's hard to get clients. Then you start, you know, it's just like, we're saying the same things over and over again. Right.
Yep.
And Exactly. And the ability to bolt on DIY ads is awesome. And I think people are doing other things with it. But since that happened, we've listened to all of you guys, everybody here present. You've given us awesome feedback. I mean, in fact, Joe, one of the reasons that kept you initially from using UpHex was I think you need maybe custom values. I can't remember, but you needed something. And so we listened to that. We're like, okay, well, cool. We're going to build that into our roadmap. We're going to make sure that this product is what you guys need to do to start like having an agency, to have a lifestyle like he has. Am I pointing to you, to everybody else? He's right there.
No, you're top left.
Okay. Well, that's what we all want. We want time with our families. We want, I mean, you can say you want millions of dollars and that's great, but I mean, why? Like, what's the point of millions of dollars if you have nothing, like no time, right? So we all want that. Okay. So let me just segue into this next tier of value and why I think what Joe and I are going to discuss today is really cool for you guys. It's, again, a bolt-on service. So DIY marketing, that's where we started. What is next? What is the service that you can offer to your client based on their needs? Well, if they're getting leads, what's the next inherited problem that they have? I'll just open it up. What is the problem to, besides Joe and I, because we'll cheat. We talked about this yesterday. Chime in. You can just unmute your mic. What is the next problem? If you are getting leads through our DIY marketing system, your customers, what's the next step? The next problem that they inherit? Anybody?
Bring them into appointments.
Appointments.
Money.
Well, something precedes the money, right? Appointments, right? So it makes no good. Like we all get excited about creating leads. That's what whoa, dude, we're making leads. We're getting leads. That's awesome. Your clients hate leads unless they turn into appointments, because appointments can turn into sales. All right. So all of your local businesses that you serve, they will initially be excited. They will get those leads. They will be coming in. And if they're good, they know that leads must be nurtured, must be called. If they're normal, meaning you're talking like 85, 90% of your client base, they're going to be like, well, there's a whole bunch of leads there, but maybe I'll call them in the weekend. I got too busy. And before long, they view you as an expense. Okay. Because you're not creating an outcome. And you're thinking, yes, I am. I'm giving you all these opportunities. And that is your problem. Your problem is there's a gap between the lead and the sale, which is the engagement to the appointment. Okay. And one of the really cool features that we rolled out maybe a month or so ago was messenger ads. And as soon as messenger ads rolled out, I reached out to Joe and I was like, well, this makes me think, well, what if we had the ability to engage people in real time, to take those leads, turn them into appointments or whatever the next call to action is. Usually that's an appointment, okay, for our end customers. What is the value proposition then? And it's huge. It's absolutely huge. It's a completely different thing for your client customers to call up a person who has an appointment and say, hey, just want to make sure you're showing up for your appointment tomorrow. That's a much easier action that they will take. Right? That's something of way more value to them. Okay. So then it says, okay, well, if you guys wanted to do that, I'm sure you could hire your own staff. You could train people to facilitate that, or we could bolt on a solution, right? We could bolt on a solution in level 9. And so that is what Joe and I are here to talk about today. Now, I've reframed my DIY marketing into done with you. Right? Because we want to provide really good service. We want to have good communication skills with our clients. And we found that by doing that, they stick around for a long, long time. But at some point in time, that next tier of value, what is it? This to me is the hybrid SaaS of done for you. Okay. What Joe and I are talking about is UpHex will push leads into GoHighLevel, and Joe will pull appointments out of those leads, resulting in an end result that your client is psyched about, and they will absolutely pay more. Okay. So that's what this next tier of value is really all about. So that's going to lead everybody. I mean, some of you are super psyched, especially Justin. You're very psyched, I can tell, buddy, right? There he goes. All right, awesome. But that leads us to a couple of questions. Okay, that sounds rad. How does it work? How much does it cost? What can we expect? All that kind of stuff. Well, luckily, that's what Joe does every single day. All right. So what I'm going to do is, now that we kind of have, the box is unwrapped and we kind of know what we're talking about, I'm going to let Joe talk for just a minute. And then in the chat, okay, don't unmute your mics at this point in time. In the chat, whatever questions you have, throw those in there and I'll fill them by Joe here and we'll go from there. Does that sound good?
Sounds good. Yeah.
All
One of the something that just kind of triggered when we were chatting was, in my agency in the wedding industry, we work with wedding venues. One of the biggest challenges is it's a high ticket sale, right? I mean, this may be one of the biggest purchases outside of buying, a car or a house that somebody's going to make in their life, spending money on their wedding. And so, to add to it, I also am partnered in 5 different wedding venues as well. So we've got kind of some depth there. So I get to see a lot that's going on. We serve over 300 venues in 11 different countries, all of it being built around high level, right? In the very beginning, I was one of the first people to custom brand, our white label, and I made it very specific to the wedding industry. And we've gone really, really heavy into that. What's interesting is that we get a lot of feedback on the idea that, hey, if you're generating leads, you get to that, hey, the lead quality.
Yes.
Everybody wants to talk about lead quality. Are these going to be good leads? And, how many leads does it take to get to an appointment? In the wedding industry, it's a tour, right? Which is a physical, somebody has to take time out of their day. They have to show up to actually walk the venue. So what's interesting is that I was able to create kind of this, it's kind of a pitch around that I use. And one of the huge benefits that I'm able to share with people is that, listen, it doesn't matter how many leads we generate. You don't know leads exist until the moment that you either have an appointment, or in our case, that they're communicating directly with you to schedule a tour. So we can generate, UpHex can generate as many, because we're using UpHex for our venue clients. You can generate as many leads as you want because of our backend marketing automation. And then the fact that we're responding to every single message that comes in, typically inside 90 seconds. They don't know anybody exists. They don't know marketing's happening. They don't know advertising's running. They don't know that leads are coming in. They don't know if they're tire kickers. They don't know if they're highly qualified. They know nothing until, and it just depends which service they bought. If we're running the messaging on the back end and we're communicating with them, they don't know that they exist until there's a tour scheduled. And all they do is they get a notification, they check their calendar, and they're like, okay, my calendar's full. Awesome. This weekend we're doing this. Right? If they're not, then our proposition isn't we're going to generate leads. We're going to generate conversations, what we consider sales opportunities. And so that comes in through the marketing automation. That comes in through us, whether it be qualifying people and getting them to a certain point and then handing that conversation off. Just kind of depends on what the client needs. But that's been one of the most valuable things that we've ever been able to share with people is that, as a client, you don't want to deal with leads.
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with the leads that end up being dead. They want to deal with people who are actually interested in their service. And so as we've been able to deliver nothing but people interested in their service, our retention rate is almost 100%. Like, we haven't lost a client in our wedding agency in almost 4 years.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, I'm being dead serious. Like, we don't lose clients because they have no reason to leave. They have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Their only option is to go hire somebody to do what we're doing. The only difference is we're doing it for over, 300 different clients around the world. We kind of know it better than they know it. They can't train somebody to do what we're already doing. And so when you have the ability to remove so many of those pain points and deliver so much success to them, they can't leave you.
Yeah.
And then you can, again, you solve a problem, every solution creates a new problem, right? So when you give them a solution, new problem on the back end, boom, you can create a new service, create a new, bonus, create something to extend your value.
That lead quality complaint is one that I hate it. First of all, I hate it, right? Because but at the same time, why should I expect that my end customer should have the level of education and experience that I have, understanding, well, it's just the game, right? It's the game. It's like people say it's a numbers game. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a numbers game. It's also a recency game. It's like, hey, how well do I do against that person? So on and so forth. It is the lead quality. And so if you're entirely removing that frustration and I mean, that's what it is. It's really just a frustration. At the end of the day, if they're getting, like for me, if it's patients, right? If they're getting 10, 15, 20 patients, who cares? They're psyched about that, right?
Yeah.
But then they dwell on the 90 people who were, quote, tire kickers or poor qualities. Like, I mean, I'm going to make that change like immediately. I love that.
And the thing that people forget too is that the lead game is ebb and flow, right? So like as costs rise and all of a sudden Facebook costs rise, and we look and we go, okay, well, our cost of acquisition for a lead increased, meaning keeping the same budget, you decrease the volume of leads.
Yes.
People are trying to figure out, well, all they see are the leads. Well, our clients don't. Our clients don't know how many leads come in every month.
Yeah.
We don't even give them a report and let them see that at all. What they know is how many tours they get booked, how many appointments they have booked. And that's the most value, because as lead costs go up and down, I mean, the cool thing is like, even, in our space, we've been able to kind of flip flop and say, okay, great. We've got we're running all the budget at Facebook and Instagram. That worked really, really well. As ad costs rise and more people are trying to do what we're doing, we shifted a bunch of our budget over to TikTok. So now we're doing something different. Everybody's trying to figure out, well, what happened over here? Our clients don't know the difference.
Yeah.
All they know is that they're getting appointments. That's all they know. And that's the only thing that they care about, because the appointments are the people who end up paying money. Leads are worth zero until they initiate a conversation. Then they become an opportunity.
I love it.
Yeah.
And this is what everybody is here. Every agency owner, that's what you guys are, all agency owners. You're all in this business, right? And so you understand when Joe's talking about this, quote, lead quality, you've all heard that complaint. You all know that it's a problem that you've never really addressed. Because I haven't. I mean, maybe there's people who are way smarter than me, so maybe you have. But I've never addressed it the way he did. Okay. But what's really cool about this, and what I believe, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, Joe, but what you're saying is inherently by what we do, we create a problem that must be solved. If we do not solve that problem quickly and proactively, we churn.
Always.
Right? We churn. He don't churn. He don't 4 years. I have a hard time believing that, but I know you're a trustworthy guy, so I believe you. But 4 years, that is wild. All because he's connecting what he does with an end result. And that is what this done for you partnership that we're talking about is designed to do. Okay. So we'll get a bit tactical. Joe, you can talk about pricing, just overall, like is flow, how people sign up, like the whole, just the logistics of it. We'll talk about that. And then I've got a couple of funny questions. Somebody said personally to me, the divorce rate is 50% in the US. Laugh out loud. You contribute to that, Joe. But anyway, so let's talk about just logistics. Walk us through the deal, what it looks like for these guys and people who watch this on a replay. So, if you're an agency.
Cool. Yeah. So, what's really funny is like, so GoHighLevel, was around, and we were doing this for agencies and agencies clients, all over. We've been doing it for a long time. And then I tell, I go to Sean and I'm like, hey man, how can we figure out a way that we can access through one portal, everybody's, all of our clients' high levels, right? So we can just feed the messages in. He's like, oh, I got an idea. I can do something like that. About 6 months later, he goes, hey, we built Eliza. And so Eliza has been that sister platform that allows messages to come in. An agency can, then, serve their clients. So we leverage Eliza for all the high-level users. All of the messages feed in. It's literally as simple as the API key gets, activates your Eliza. You go in, you fill out your FAQs. Your FAQs are going to be really the ammunition that we use to have a conversation. So every single question that you could possibly think of, we want to try to have it in there. It allows us to kind of do cut and paste responses. It's literally a one click. And then we can create and we can modify it for context to make sure that it actually makes sense when it's going out. There's a lot of cool features in it, things like you can bypass, the messaging. You can, for if anybody's tagged, or you could say, hey, I want that, if you're doing calling or something, or a missed call text back, we can have that come in and we can immediately respond to those. So there's a lot of features in there that are just, really, really cool. For us, we wanted to do this as fair as possible. The way that GoHighLevel set it up is that it's per location. So kind of like the opposite, how they have the whole platform set up, which is stupid in my opinion, but it is what it is. But what it allows us to do is offer completely unlimited messaging for each location for $2.99 a month. So you could not, under any circumstance, hire a human being to sit down and do that for basically, we do 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 8 a.m. East Coast to 8 p.m. West Coast, Monday through Sunday. So you're getting it all weekend. Now, everybody says, well, how come you don't do it 24 hours a day? Well, we used to. The data proves appointments in the middle of the night are so scarce and they're lower quality, we cut it. There was no value in it. So we cut off the middle of the night stuff. Super simple. Guess what? First thing in the morning, our team's back in, they're messaging immediately and they're booking that appointment. And we usually do a much better job than being awake all night long. So my team is based in the Philippines. So all of our VAs are in the Philippines. So they work, again, 8 a.m. East Coast to 8 p.m. West Coast. As we've developed, I think we have a crew now working UK hours. So that's a completely separate one. I know that there's an Australian group that is hiring, so we may put a team on the Australian time zones. So we'll see about that. Now, we did add a new feature to this just 3 months ago, I think, and that is inbound calls. So if you guys want us to answer the inbound calls, all it is $3.99 a month. Again, unlimited. So you can have as many messages coming in as you want. Somebody said, hey, is that really unlimited? Yes, we serve, I don't know if you guys know who Andrew Cass is. Andrew Cass has more locations running inside GoHighLevel than anybody. And in fact, probably more than almost everybody combined. So this dude is a nut. He's the guy who has
Pipeline Pro, right?
Pipeline Pro.
Yep.
Yeah. So he has Pipeline Pro. Everybody hates him because he did this, this kind of weird $39 lifetime deal. Nobody gets what the deal is, but let me tell you, the dude's fucking crushing it. And then we run the back end and we do all of his messaging for his clients. So anyhow, what else? What other questions?
Well, it's funny because everybody's like messaging me directly. Nobody wants to put it in the group chat. It's okay, guys. It's all good. It's all good. I'm the mediator. All right, a couple things.
It doesn't
so
let us do that.
It says, okay, so you mentioned calls. Is this calling or is it just messaging? So that's a one. And then dovetail that in with, what is the end objective? Is it like appointments? Like how's it?
Yeah. So, okay, perfect. So so the second part of that question is like, well, is the objective appointments? Depends on your business. We do a ton of customer support. So the objective is to get them supported, to get their questions answered, to get their problems resolved, right? So we do a ton of customer support. If it's appointments, then yes, then that would be the objective. It is completely up to you. You just decide how or what the goal is of each, incoming. If it's leads coming in, trying to get them booked for an appointment, we got it. You can share your SOPs, you'll share your FAQs. We'll be able to handle that. The first question, shit, now I forgot it. What was it? Calls. Yeah. So the one thing, we're not a cold call company. So to put that clear, I have no desire to do it. It's outbound. I don't like cold calling. I don't like that at all. So I can't bring myself to build a call-in center. But
can I?
We will take, so really quick, we will take inbound calls. And if you need outbound calls to confirm an appointment, we do that as well.
Okay. I love that. And can I want to add some color.
Sure.
I mean, I know in a typical an agency, we might be talking about leads. The whole inception of this idea was you're going to be having active messenger campaigns. Okay. That's why I actually originally reached out to Joe. I'm like, there's no point in doing a messenger campaign if there's not somebody there to pick it up. Like there's no point in doing it. Okay. And I think, like I said, the reason we built custom values was because of Joe. Okay. The reason we built messenger was because a couple people, but Robbie, you're not on, but Robbie was a real big instigator of messenger campaigns. I'm not really seasoned in those, but I do know one thing. It's the same thing as if you get leads and nobody ever calls them, they're worthless. So to me, when I saw this, I saw a problem, but I also saw an opportunity, which it brings us together. If you have a messenger campaign, by virtue of what the objective is, you're not getting on the call anyway. That's not the point. That person doesn't want to be on the call. That's why they're in a messenger, in a chat, right? But with Joe, you provide, when you onboard and you give the common responses, all that kind of stuff, that person is going to take them through a process before the appointment. Am I correct there?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have, I can speak from my agency point of view. Like we have a whole series of qualifiers that we have to go through to make sure that they're even fit to waste time on having them come to the venue and tour, right? We've got to know, what size is their wedding. If it's too big and the venue can't support it, they can't come. If it's too small and it's not worth the money, they can't come. If their budget doesn't fit what we charge, they can't come. So there's a lot of qualifiers in there, and we go through a series of those questions. And, and just so you guys are clear, we do it very much from a place of transparency. We are completely white labeled to your clients and their clients. They don't know it's Level 9 Virtual having that conversation for you. What we do is we pretend we work for whatever company it is that we're answering the message for. So if it's my, if it's my venue that we're answering messages for, they're an employee of that venue. And all they are is they're the person who helps facilitate tours and appointments. That's it. They tell them the truth. Hey, no, I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to make sure that we're the right fit for you. And we want to go ahead and get you scheduled, and you're going to have your meeting with Sam, right? And then we're completely transparent to keep it so that there is no break in context from the conversation they had over here to the appointment that they're going to have over here. We don't do any of the pretend game, right? A lot of people love to do that. It breaks things down, and we've got a better success rate than the pretend game. Okay. Yeah. So qualifiers are easy, right? You guys can deliver those. We can know what makes a good appointment, what doesn't, and we'll find those out and we'll book the appointment.
Love it. All right. Do we have to have Eliza for this to work?
No, we have Eliza.
Okay.
That's the cool part. You guys don't have to have it. We already have it. We're partners. And so we can just literally take your location API key, activate it in that location. And then on the back in the settings, you'll just have the Eliza FAQs. You'll be able to put everything in there. It's literally live in both directions. So we'll see it. You'll be able to update it in real time.
Okay. Love it. And then there's a question from me. It wasn't me, whoever me is. Common objections to my clients. They're concerned about having someone with an accent call. Yeah. So we covered that. Okay. We covered that. You said one thing, the call confirmations, is that included in what price point?
The $399. So anything involving phones shifts to the $399 because it's a different set of staff. And then there's just, there's tech involved, right? So, but it's $399 a month. It's completely unlimited. So if we're booking appointments and you go, hey, day of, we need to call confirmation, or you want to do a quick call back, hey, inbound call, they hung up, text message, hey, can you call us really quick? Yeah, we can do that. Here's the funny part. Out of all of the things, do you want to get on the phone? No, I hate getting on the phone. Like anybody who knows me, it's really hard to get me on the phone. I don't like being on the phone. Most people don't anymore. Driving a ton of your conversations into text and things like that actually really, really help drive appointments. The chance of getting somebody to pick up the phone is slim. The chance of getting them to respond to a text message is amazing, right? And when you're marketing automation, you can get them into Facebook Messenger. You can do that right from an ad to the Messenger, and somebody can answer it immediately. You jack your response rate, you jack your opportunity rate to a totally different level than anybody else is doing. Because most people that are running Messenger ads, they get somebody to respond and then there's a wait period and they have to sit around and wait.
Yeah.
And then people get pissed. They're not interested anymore. They lost, that excitement that they saw in the ad that they were interested in. They lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We keep it.
I love it.
We keep it rolling.
You got a hot potato.
That's a huge deal. Yeah.
Got a hot potato. I love it. All right. So let me kind of segue over. We're getting a couple of questions and clarifying questions in terms of pricing. Yeah. So I think I can answer those. So just so you guys know, UpHex is $497, and that's monthly cost, $497, and it's unlimited sub accounts. So if you service 50 clients, it's $497 or whatever that is. Like, is that $5? I don't know, whatever. 497 divided by 50. You guys do the math. All right. So that's definitely not the math. But anyway, so 497, that's your cost. Okay. So the more clients you have, your per location fee is like super low. Now, that is a piece of software. Okay. And so the reason we allow you to have sub accounts is that, whether you have 2 accounts or 200, it's not like we're incurring more cost or work. Okay. What level 9 does, that is $299 per sub account, you could say, or per location, your clients. Okay. So you do have a per location fee, but we have it priced in a way to where it's like, well, $299. I would never price something like this. Never. And Joe thinks I'm silly for even mentioning a price this low. I would never price something like this below $997. I'd never do that. Right? The client's not going to pay $997. They shouldn't even be a customer anyway. Right? To his point, what he's saying is we're delivering an outcome, an end result. And if the case value or if the lifetime value of the product that they're doing, if it doesn't justify that cost, you need to find a new niche. Right? So $299. Now the next level of value. So if you want to increase that service from a inbound plus a call confirmation, instead of $299 per location, it is $399 per location. Yeah. Okay. So hopefully I think that's now clear. Ron, does that clarify things for you? Okay. Is there a minimum amount of months you need to take? I'm guessing no, month to month.
Nope.
All right. If we bring on a new home contractor client and we want a VA to answer leads and book appointments for them, but they don't have any SOPs or FAQs, contractors are not good at this at all. Is this still possible? You probably need to do it, Robert.
Just do it. You know what, to be honest, dude, it's not that hard. If you've run any campaigns for anybody ever, go through your messages, go through what the FAQs are. What questions are people asking just in your messenger thread? This is how we started. So when we flipped and we started doing this just in the wedding industry, I said, go back through the messages. And we went through, I don't know, about 100 clients' messages and just tried to find the most common things. And it was super simple. But you can also very quickly with a client just say, hey, if we're going to be answering messages, what are some qualifiers that we have to have, right? We can't do this for you if we don't have any information. So there's got to be a level of give and take. And if you can strap them down and get them for 20 minutes, I guarantee you can pull enough information out to get the ball started. Now, this actually brings up one thing I forgot to say is one of the cool things is 90% or more of all of this messaging is going to be messages, right? It's going to be Facebook. It's going to be Instagram DMs. It's going to be Google My Business. It's going to be text messaging, also email. If email's in there, we can email through it as well and send that back. The majority of it is digital communication. It's not voice, right? On the voice, you have to be impromptu. You have to be able to say the answer right then. The cool part is if it's a message and you don't, and our team doesn't know the answer because it's not listed anywhere. It's a question we've never heard before. We turn around and there's going to be a point of contact, whoever you want it to be, your client, a team member for the client, whoever. We literally just text them and say, hey, here's the question from the client. What do you want us to say? That's now awesome. We take that answer you give us, we build a new FAQ for it. So the next time that question's asked, we already got it.
Love it, dude.
And it happens in real time. And the client who's on the other side, they have no idea that it's happening because it's a text message or whatever. And they're just like, oh, it just took them 90 seconds to respond instead of 8, right? There's no difference. They don't know.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's actually very practical. I mean, that's like a unsophisticated solution to, what might look, oh, how do we fix? I mean, that's like super easy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Robert, I mean, the thing is, if you don't know it now, you should learn those things that will help you sell your clients way better. Okay. That's number one. Number two, the learning curve. I mean, between what they're doing as the service provider and what you come up with, it's not going to take long before you have all that dialed in.
Yeah.
Can we handle both appointments and support? Oh, can you guys handle support
Sure.
appointments, which is what we're talking about today?
Yep.
And then in addition, support.
Correct. Yep.
Is there anything you can't do?
Outbound, cold calling.
Outbound cold calling. I'm in. All right.
I hate it.
All right. And so we answered Ron's question. So I think that's a good stopping point. So here's, I'm really excited. I will talk more about just hey, price points. It was funny because my price point for my service was $497 when we did DIY. And so the first couple of people, they did the exact same thing. I'm like, well, I guess I would kind of set the tone for how this thing works. I'm not saying you charge $997. I'm using that as like a bare minimum. I would never go below that. I'm thinking $1,297, $1,500, and you'll be providing more value to your end user than agencies. I mean, think back 2, 3, 4, 5 years into the past. Agencies were charging on average, I mean, in my niche, $1,500 to $2,000 and not doing any of that.
Yeah. Yeah. We price where we are because, and it's for agencies. So, I mean, like I was telling you, we charge our clients direct $1,000 a month just for us to answer.
That's
There's
just the
margin
answering
in it.
service. That's not the ads. That's just the answering
No,
service.
that's just the answering service part.
Yeah.
Right. So, but you guys have the opportunity to create margin if you resell it. And that's why we price where we are. And, and it's worked really, really well for a lot of agencies, and they're pricing anywhere from $699 to $999. And I mean, they bring in new locations every time they close a client. It's the easiest sell.
I love it. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to roll out a form that connects you with level 9. It'll have details on that, how, the whole thing. We'll send out a replay of this video with that, some FAQs, all that kind of stuff. I'm really excited about this. I have noticed in my own agency, a DIY, and then a DFY, and we naturally transition a good 20, 30% of people from our $497 to $2,000 offer, just as they go through we do 3 onboarding calls, 1, 2, 3. And then third, we're like, hey, if you're not hitting these benchmarks, you might need some help. And the good news is we can help you, right? So this now gives you guys a tool to make more money. And I'll tell you the one thing that we really haven't touched on here that it's really going to do, that I've seen it do, your churn, right? Your churn is going to no longer be a concern. You see how I rhymed, Joe?
Yeah, that was great.
You like that? I came up with that on the fly. Dude, you want to talk about losing money? Losing money is more about losing clients than it is, whatever. You lose clients, this business sucks. You keep clients, there is no better business. It is.
For sure. And I mean, one thing that people forget is that when you have happy clients, they will happily give you more money. Happily. So when you figure out their next problem that you created because you created a solution, whatever that next problem is, if they're happy with you, they will gladly give you the next batch of cash.
That's right.
Right. And it can go on literally forever.
That's right. 4 years at least. It can go on for 4
At
years.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, awesome. Hey guys, thanks for all the questions. This has been awesome. Like I said, I will be sending out an email with details that will connect you to Joe, the logistics of how to do this. If any campaign that you have built as a template in UpHex can immediately, with zero modifications, can be launched into a messenger campaign. All right. So it's not like you have to go through a bunch of rigmarole and setup to be able to facilitate a messenger campaign. Proven templates, boom, messenger campaign, bolt on these guys. And now you got a done for you offer that I think will kick some serious butt. So
Sweet.
Hey, Joe, I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for coming on, thanks for sharing everything. And this is awesome.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. See you soon.
Guys.